Greatest things that I think that this world has to offer every community across the land is Friday Night Lights. It's Friday Night Football. It's a great American story.
The swan song of the 2015 Endzone next. One win away from Vaught Hemingway for our game of the week. Baldwin East Webster played a slugfest. Is it destiny for Starkville? The Jackets one win away from playing for that elusive state championship. Could they get it done? And would it be rise or fall time for Knoxville, West Point, Oxford, Aberdeen, Smithfield? All the highlights coming up.
The WCBI Endzone Show with Robbie Donahoe and Tommy Lopez is brought to you by OCH Sports Medicine, Itawamba Community College, Carl Hogan Toyota, and Max South.
Welcome into the final edition of the 2015 Endzone presented by OCH Sports Medicine and our great sponsors from Itawamba Community College, Carl Hogan Toyota, and Max South. I'm Robbie Donahoe. That right there, Braden Bishop for the Miss 98 Scoreboard Show. Starting to maybe tear up a little bit. Final show of the year. We're starting to knock out some more teams. We're taking 4 teams with us to Oxford. We'll tell you which one of those teams are making it there. But for everything coming together tonight, what a night it was to wrap it up before we head to Oxford.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that it's been an even more special night just because it's, you're starting to see some storylines either fade out or start to become true. And that's just kind of what sports is all about, and we're almost there.
Well, one of the great storylines was we knew we were going to have a new team representing 2A North in the state championship. Unfortunately, it's still Bassfield that's coming out of 2A South, but we got to find out who was going to be coming out of 2A North to represent, see if they can finally end the streak from the Yellow Jackets.
WCBI High School Football Game of the Week is brought to you by Carl Hogan Toyota in Columbus.
And here we go. Our Carl Logan Toyota Game of the Week from Latimer Park. This is where Braden and I were. East Webster and Baldwin slugfest to the highest variety. Look out. The Duke is loose in the first quarter. Duke Upshaw running to the sidelines. That little nifty juke move for the touchdown. 7-0 lead for the Baldwin Bearcats. East Webster would hit back though in the ensuing kickoff. And Braden, we talked about this earlier. Chase Keller. This may have changed the course of this football game.
Yep, trying to chase, and that's what you're going to see right here. Set up a really good first drive that's going to convert him some points here in a second.
It would indeed. It would lead to the Jack attack. By the way, the East Webster fans showed out tonight at Latimer Park. There's Jack Wilson, 15-yard touchdown. We're tied at 7 after 1. The Wolverines rolling. We got more Jack in the second quarter. Here he comes. He's like the little giant. He's really tough to bring down, and dude is just tough as nails. Inside the 5, that would lead to the chase. Chase Keller pounds it in from a yard out. It's 14-7 East Webster's second quarter. Back comes Baldwin, though. Will Smith finding Felix Hayes. The basketball player turned receiver. Jump ball, holds it in, first down. Now here is the story all about how I threw a touchdown to Felix Hayes now. Will Smith to Hayes. One more time. We're tied at 14 at the half with 4.4 seconds left. But East Webster laid down the gauntlet in the second half. The Wolverines are going to Oxford. They win 28-14 over Baldwin. The East Webster Wolverines will play for their first ever 2A state championship. Here's who they will play. We alluded to it a little bit earlier. Braden, it's once again going to be Bassfield, the team that always seems to come out of the South in Class 2A.
Yep, and I've jumped off the Baldwin wagon now. I'm going to jump on the East Webster wagon, and they're going to travel very, very well to Oxford. I think East Webster is one of those teams right now that's riding an extremely high wave of just momentum. And Bassfield, they're not the Bassfield of the last couple of years, but they're still that name. And East Webster, they got to get ready.
Bay Springs hung with them tonight in the 2A South title game. But this isn't the Bassfield team that had Jamal Peters or Curtis Michael or any of those big-time names, Cornell Armstrong that's playing at Southern Miss. This is a Bassfield team that's still very good, very athletic, and very fast. But if there's a team that can hang with them, Calhoun City did it last year, it's the physical teams that can play with them in the trenches. East Webster, that's their MO. They love fighting and just getting after it in the trenches.
I think Bassfield has a small edge just because of experience and having been there. But, East Webster, Nothing to lose, everything to win. And if they bring the people they brought tonight, there was not an open seat on the visitor side. There's no exaggeration. The band was having to be packed in, and it was fun.
Oxford, the cowbells are coming from East Webster. Beware and prepare yourselves. 2A all set. Let's get into 6A now. Starkville taking on Madison Central. The Yellow Jackets, one win away from playing for that state championship. The nest was hopping, and it was fun. This is Montario Montgomery to Avery Brown. Over the middle, getting out of the backfield. That's a short touchdown pass. 7-0 lead for the Jackets. More touchdowns. Terrio, watch this catch by A.J. Brown in double coverage. He's off to the races. Touchdown, A.J. Brown. It's a 14-0 lead for the Jackets. And yes, A.J. throwing a little dab in there as well. But back comes Madison Central. Not for the moment, though. There's Willie Gay for the sack in the backfield there. Things looking good for Starkville. But at Peterson's Jaguars, they always seem to have a comeback in them. Here they come again. Jack Walker up top. Touchdown pass. It's 14-7. Madison Central would have another touchdown before the end of the half. And yes, the Jaguars led 17-14 at the break. Surprised the scoreline at the half?
A little bit, yeah. I think that Madison was able to take care of some stuff at the very end, and they scored, I think, 17 unanswered.
But Starkville would hit back with 14 unanswered. Montario Montgomery, Rontavis Clark over the middle. That's where Starkville had a lot of their success tonight when they doubled up A.J. Brown on the outside. It's a 21-17 lead for Starkville, and then Avery Brown had over 100 yards again tonight. 28-17 lead for the Jackets. Now, he left the game due to an injury. He will be a game-time decision next Friday. But I just told you game-time decision for next Friday because they're playing for a state championship. Starkville wins 28-20. Afterwards, A.J. Brown, Ricky Woods, ecstatic.
Oh, man, it feels real good, man. I mean, it's a big feeling. It's my first time, playing for a championship. So, I'm going to give it everything I got, and that's all.
A chance for this team to go out on top. How cool would it be to go in next week and get a win?
I mean, it would be big, man. Last year, man, we had all the talent in the world, can't feel short. And now we just fight, man, working hard, man. That's all. It'll be huge, man.
We came from behind. We were down at halftime against a good football team, and we played hard all night long. And shoot, it was just good. I mean, we came back behind twice in the third quarter of the last two games. So we've sort of been down but not out. Just, it's the last Monday's practice for these seniors. They need to enjoy it. But the main focus is just that you got to play it just like it's another game and treat it like it's another game. And you got to play 4 quarters every down.
That state championship mindset coming out of Ricky Woods again. And Starkville will be surprisingly playing Petal for the state championship. Surprised to see the Panthers in there.
Yeah, I was basically surprised to see anybody out of 6A South. But, yeah, Petal's going to come out with a big win over Meridian. Meridian's a really good team. I think that's a team that maybe peaked a little earlier than what people thought that they were going to do. But, Starkville, if you wanted to have a go-to pick this coming week, it's probably going to be Starkville. Starkville's really, really good, and they're going to be putting up touchdowns left and right with their 3 or 4 receivers.
Yeah, good luck, Petal, trying to stop A.J. Brown, Rontavis Clark, all those receivers on the outside. And like we mentioned, Avery Brown went down with an injury towards the end of the game. It will be a game-time decision. They need him, but they don't need him. They have such a talented offense. If they had their number 1 running back, it'd be great. But if they don't, they may still be okay.
I can remember back in the summer, Robbie, when we saw the Ricky Woods name come across Twitter when we saw going to Starkville. Mm-hmm. Immediately, everybody's mind went to, okay, Starkville's going to continue to be good and even better. We were not proved wrong. He's got a winning tradition, and props to that team.
We spoke to Starkville on the high school football tour at the beginning of the season. They all said South Panola took the ring off our finger. Well, they didn't have to go through South Panola this time around. Starkville just gets to play for that state championship, and they get to have a chance at getting that ring. I got a really big team that needs some really big rings. We'll see if Starkville can pull it off next Friday, 7 p.m. Friday from Vaught Hemingway Stadium. When we come back on the End Zone, many more scores and highlights to get to. The 5A North half final. Would it be the 3rd time the charm for Johnny Hill and the Chargers? Well, they would have to run into the team they're getting to know pretty well. West Point, with the wave rise. They were a year ahead of schedule. Would those sophomores be ready to throw down with the Chargers? And Noxubee County on the road again in the Delta. How would the Tigers fare on their road for their back-to-back state championships? We'll show you. Back here on the End Zone, presented by OCH Sports Medicine. We also may be dropping some Drake lyrics here in and out. We never know what's going to come here on the End Zone. But let's dive into 5A now. A rematch between West Point and Oxford. It's the game we were all thinking we would get for a second year in a row. We got it again. The Wave and the Chargers starting to develop a little bit of a rivalry on Twitter, and we had it tonight. Oxford, great start for the Chargers, though. Marcus Murphy, throwing the coverage, picked off here by Tyus Hilliard. Chargers take over and take advantage. Jack Abraham was throwing to Ken Presley all night, and the dude was getting open. There he gets past the deep defense, deep safeties, 7-0 lead for the Chargers. Green Wave, though, back on offense, playing hard. Again, I mentioned it before the end of the last block. This is a sophomore-laden team that's a year away from probably being really good. And Marcus Murphy down to the 1-yard line on a great run. That ball would be down at the 1. Great crowd tonight from West Point, by the way, throwing the white rally towels, looking good. And there is Chris Calvert. You give it to him near the goal line, let him punch it in. We're tied at 7, first quarter. West Point loving it. But Oxford hits back, and again, it's Ken Presley. It wasn't DK Metcalf tonight. It was this guy running away from the defense. Another touchdown, 14-7 lead for Oxford. Before the end of the half, though, the West Point defense rising up. Abraham's pass here, picked off by Randall Johnson on a great play. That West Point offense, again, it happened earlier in the year when West Point and Oxford played each other. It just went dormant in the second half. Oxford, your 5A North Half Final champions. They win 35-7 over West Point. But Oxford, Johnny Hill, third time's a charm. You're going to have to run into a Wayne County team that obliterated Laurel, a team that won the state championship last year. What kind of a matchup is this?
It's going to be an interesting matchup, Robbie. We called the Laurel out of the South really early in the preseason show.
Right.
Well, they ran into a Wayne County team that's absolutely amazing, obviously, and that's going to be a huge test for Oxford, but they're going to play at home. They're going to have Johnny Hill in his last game. We saw a picture tonight where he's being carried off the field.
It's really cool.
What a cool moment that they can do this, and yeah, we keep saying it, third time's a charm. Johnny's been very close the last couple of years. Picayune is one that comes to mind.
Right.
Maybe it's a minute or two from having a ring on his finger. But anyway, this is going to be one to look out for. And, hey, they're playing home. Just hold on. They're going home.
They're going home. I said it on the WCBI version of this show, you could have 5,000, 6,000, 7,000 people there for Oxford, maybe even more. You may see an entire side of Von Hemingway Stadium completely filled with Oxford fans. That's how many people are going to want to show up and be there for that last game of the state championships. It will be Saturday, 7 p.m. from Von Hemingway Stadium when Oxford and Wayne County do battle. So that's 5A. In Class 4A, this team going for back-to-back state championships, Knoxville County, taking on a Greenwood team that's played a lot of close games lately, but they've gotten them to go their way. Tonight, not so much. You're into a Knoxville team that was ready to roll. Morris Connor, LaDavion Smith throwing it back across the field, and LaDavion gets into the end zone. Tigers strike. They lead 7-0. And Connor going back to work. He was really getting the passing game going tonight. Here hitting Kimbodrick Mason. Certainly looks like he broke the plane there, but they call it a fumble. Greenwood recovers, and they take over. So no touchdown. Knoxville leaving points on the doorstep, but they would get the ball right back because Greenwood's throwing to the wrong team. Well, the right team if you're Knoxville. That's a great interception from Joshua Little jumping the route there. That would lead to Jeffrey Simmons. If you have a 6'6", 260 guy, his immeasurables off the charts, just let him run it into the end zone. 1-yard touchdown. Knoxville took a 14-0 lead with them into the locker room. Well, that wasn't until Greenwood was able to notch one before the end of the half. But Knoxville's defense held tough late, despite this touchdown from Greenwood before the end of the half. Knoxville wins 14-7. The Tigers will play for the 4A state championship for the second year in a row. No, it's not deja vu. They are playing St. Stanislaus once again for the state title.
Yeah, Knoxville looks really good going into this thing. Again, another team that we had preseason, very, very good team. I think the biggest thing that we talked about, Robbie, last year with Knoxville is could they win back-to-back from year to year. And it looks like that they have a very good chance with Jeffrey Willis being in Oxford this next weekend. So, yeah. Jeffrey Simmons, I'm sorry. So, yeah, with seeing that, I think that they have a really good shot. They're going to have to stop St. Stanislaus on offense.
Well, Dylan Favre's not walking through that door for St. Stanislaus, but Miles Brennan is the quarterback. But again, Noxubee's very familiar with the Rocketchaws. This is a team they played last year for the state championship and beat them pretty easily. Not much has changed from that St. Stanislaus team. They lost a couple athletes, but this is relatively the same Noxubee team too. So that familiarity, knowing what you can expect from St. Stanislaus, how much of a factor is that going to be?
I think familiarity is a big deal, but it's sometimes one of those things that people will kind of harp on for the week, and you never know. Something could pop up out of nowhere, and usually when your mindset gets settled on what it's going to be like, it's not usually like that. So it could be a fun one in 4A.
It's going to be a fun one. There may be some points in that game. Those two teams played a wild one last year where Noxubee put up a whole bunch of points early and pulled away late. That game will be between Noxubee and St. Stanislaus Saturday, 3 o'clock p.m. from Vaught Hemingway Stadium. When we return on the End Zone, we have many more games and scores to get to, but it's two games that didn't really go the way of our area team. Boy, Aberdeen running into that Charleston team again. We'll show you what happened to the Bulldogs. And Smithville played their hearts out tonight, but my goodness, Hollandale Simmons is on another level. We'll show you how that game finished up. And also we'll give our picks and predictions for our state championship games coming up next weekend at the Vaughts. We'll talk more about that when we return. Back here on the End Zone, presented by OCH Sports Medicine, the swan song of the 2015 End Zone. Two teams that we had high hopes for going into tonight, but man, they ran into teams that were just on another level this evening. We start first with Aberdeen in Class 3A. Again, taking that trip to Charleston. We talked about it all week long. This was finally the year that it was going to change, and it didn't. Which I'm not. Was it surprising? No, but still, I think we all expected Aberdeen to make this one interesting.
Yeah, Aberdeen had the last couple of weeks some very strange games with them following along with some teams. But, maybe traveling on the road, Thanksgiving week's always an interesting part of this. And Charleston. Charleston's kind of been there, done that. But Charleston definitely took advantage.
They got up to 16-0 in the first quarter. I mean, it hit hard and hit quickly on Aberdeen, unfortunately. I mean, it got away from the Bulldogs really fast. And one big difference maker was that they did not have Jarek Orr for most of this game. You see him making the catch, but you can see how he's struggling to run and get away. He was dealing with a hamstring problem tonight and just really never got better. So Aberdeen, their season comes to an end. 37-6, Charleston gets the win over the Bulldogs. So in 3A state championship, it will be the rematch from last year, Charleston and Collins. These two teams played against one another. Collins got the win late in the game, so expect that one to be another fun one in a 3A state championship. But let's go back to Aberdeen, a team that has 25, 26 seniors on a 3A team that only has a roster of about 40 players. This is a team that's going to have to start from square one now with everything that they have losing now.
Yep, I agree. But, that's a town and a school that definitely has kids that can play and they're athletic. They may not be totally from scratch, but you will see still some athleticism, especially in their division, and they'll still win some games that might not necessarily supposed to based on experience.
Right. So it's a tough break for Aberdeen. Obviously, they had a great season, won over 10-plus games. This was sort of the team, if they were going to make a run and finally win that state championship, they felt like this was it. But it seems like every year when Aberdeen gets close to winning it, they have to go to Charleston to play. It's almost unlucky at this point that this keeps happening to them. It
was this time last week, almost exactly this time, that you and I were just going back and forth is it at Aberdeen? Is it at Charleston? Is it at Aberdeen? Is it at Charleston? And that could have been a mental aspect in all of this, just knowing that they cannot catch a break in the way the MHSAA has done the either higher seed or lower seed. That's always something you got to keep in mind.
Never easy to play at Charleston. Ask Lewis. We'll ask any other area teams. North Pontotoc. It's not an easy place to play, but a great season for Aberdeen. Into 1A now. Smithville, they ran into a bigger buzzsaw than Charleston. They ran into a Simmons team that we said on WCBI should not be in 1A. This is a 2A team that is just loaded with talent. And Smithville cannot hang their heads in shame. They cannot be upset. There's nothing to be ashamed of losing this game to Simmons.
There's definitely not. This is a team that's going to probably get pretty close to winning state, if not doing it the entire way. And I mean, it's unfortunate. People are going to look at the score and say, wow, this was never a game. And it kind of wasn't. But Smithville has no reason to be upset.
No, absolutely not. They played their hearts out. Wesley Group, D. Moore, Blake Comer. That senior class is a special group at Smithville, but they fell 46-0 tonight to Hollandale Simmons, a team, by the way, that has an MSU verbal commit on their team, and Nero Nelson, who you see making an interception right there. That kid's a superstar. You don't see many of those kinds of kids in 1A. So Simmons will play for the state title at 1A North. They will play Resurrection Catholic from 1A South. That'll be the state championship Friday at 11 a.m. So 4 area teams we have going to Oxford: East Webster, Starkville, Oxford, Noxubee County. 4 teams. We're going to talk about picks and predictions when we come back. But for right now, of those 4 teams, who has the best chance to win, you feel like?
I feel like just right off the top of my head, it's got to be Starkville.
They got a pretty good matchup with Petal as well. A lot of those other teams maybe run into some bigger, badder teams. But we're going to break it all down, make our picks, and what to expect for next weekend in the state championships from Oxford when we return here on the Swan Song of the Endzone. Back here on the Endzone, ready to say goodbye to you from a great season of high school football on the Endzone. We appreciate all of you following along, joining us every night on Friday. Appreciate this guy, Braden Bishop, being here tonight. Okay, so of those 4 state championship games, I'm going to run through you. Give me your pick. East Webster, Bassfield.
I like East Webster. I'm going to go with them. I saw them
You're
tonight.
going to ride the Wolverine train.
Yeah, they're playing really well, and Jack Attack, man.
All right, Starkville playing Petal.
It's going to be Starkville by 3 touchdowns.
Oxford playing against Wayne County.
That's one that's going to be very hard for me to pick. Based on the season, I like Oxford. Based on where they're playing right now, Wayne County.
And then lastly, is Noxubee pull off the repeat?
I do think that Noxubee does. Again, I saw them for the first time in a while last week, and they're so massive, so big. They're really good on offense and very, very decent on defense.
So you'll see East Webster and Bassfield Friday at 3 p.m. from the Vaught. Starkville Petal will be Friday at 7 p.m. Noxubee County will take on St. Stanislaus Saturday at 3 p.m. And then Oxford, they will face Wayne County Saturday at 7 p.m. Oxford, they get the last game of Johnny Hill's last game in the state championships.
In the town that
in the town that he started, and he got it also. I mean, you couldn't write a better story if you were talking about it for Oxford. So that's going to be fun. Next weekend is going to be a lot of fun from Oxford. Egg Bowl tomorrow, Iron Bowl tomorrow. This is sort of that week where everything comes together all at once, and it's a lot of football fun. I really want to recognize everyone that works on this show. Unfortunately, I didn't get a chance to put together a highlight video for all of y'all to see all the great people that work on this show. But tonight especially, AJ, Shane, Gibson, and Evan, everyone in production. We have a 4-person team tonight. Normally we have about 7 or 8 people that's working on the Endzone tonight. We have people that didn't work this week for Thanksgiving. Those guys are the real MVPs. They are the superstars. They put this all together tonight, so I can't tell you how much we thank them and appreciate their time for coming in the day after Thanksgiving and doing an awesome job. All of our photographers, Tommy Lopez, Jonathan Flippo did a fantastic job. Our general manager, Derek Rogers, our news director, Robert Davidson. There are so many people that are part of this Endzone show that you don't see every Friday night that put so much effort, work, and time into making this show what it is and making it how great it is. So we cannot thank them enough from the bottom of our hearts of how much they have done for this show and this station. Again, this is just the end of 2015. We're going to come back 2016. This guy's going to be probably back here again. I can't get rid of him. He seems to come back every year. But Braden Bishop, Adam Gore, and everyone from the Miss 98 Scoreboard Show, they do a fantastic job every night during the season. So that's it. That's the 2015 Endzone. We appreciate all of you tuning in. From the bottom of our hearts, thank you. Hope you had a great Thanksgiving. Enjoy the Egg Bowl and Iron Bowl tomorrow night.
The WCBI Endzone Show with Robbie Donahoe and Tommy Lopez is brought to you by OCH Sports Medicine, Itawamba Community College, Carl Hogan Toyota, and Max South.